All right, this is Tom Redband here, and we're here with Corinne Jones, the head women's basketball coach at SUNY Brockport. Corinne, welcome, and thanks for doing the interview with us today.
Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. So just a few questions on recruits and, kind of tips for recruits and parents and coaches. And the first question is, what are the main ways that you find recruits?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we like to start with evaluation. So, we're looking for talent, of course. We look a lot at body language and how players interact with their coaches. So we really want a live look. The other way we do it is through like my contacts or my assistant's contacts. So like if we know coaches in the area or specifically like New York City or Long Island where we can't get to a lot being at Brockport, we're going to make those calls and get names that way. So those are the two main like ways that I recruit. And we recruit at Brockport. I was at Division I for a while, and that was like the sole way we recruited. I have done a little more with like NCSA, maybe some like, and that's an online database, and some other ones out there to like Be Recruited or Be the Beast. I'll look at names and maybe Google search more than I did at Division I now. But really, if I'm going to get a talented player, I want to see them first. And I think that's why right now is a little bit hard because we can't do that. So we're trying to get a little more creative.
Okay. Kind of follow up with that is social media, especially now, being at home and being quarantined, not having the physical access. Does social media play a role in the recruiting process? And is it common practice to check a recruit's or parents' social media?
Yeah, we do check and we try to follow or friend. And now at Division III, we can like tweets or Instagram posts. We can retweet. To be honest, I do think recruits are pretty savvy in the fact that maybe they have two names or two handles and maybe we're only looking at one. And I do think that's savvy. So I don't know that we can solely base anything off of social media because I don't know that we see it all. But it is, telling if they don't friend us back or don't follow us back. That's kind of a red flag. Or if a parent is, subtweeting at a coach or, that kind of stuff we want to kind of stay away from. So I do think it's part of it, but it's not a huge percentage. I can't stress enough that meeting them face to face is so much more important. But I won't say that social media is not a part. I think it plays, I would say about 15%. It can definitely help us with a red flag for sure.
Now, does it, if a player right now is working out or posting videos of them, and putting it on social media, does that look good to coaches, or is that just more of a superficial thing? I mean, is that something that players should be doing to get noticed?
To be honest, I think it's kind of superficial. How long were they outside? I see a lot of players making shots. How many videos did they take to make those 5 shots in a row? So, it's good that they're doing that. But like anything, I think talking to the people around them, their coaches, are they gym rats? Do they do this all the time? How often, are they getting up before school? Are they staying after practice? Social media can't tell us that. It's the people that interact with them. So.
Okay. I'm sure that's good to know for a lot of players.
Mm-hmm.
What should an aspiring college basketball player be doing right now during the quarantine to prepare for their senior year of hoops and to get noticed by a college coach?
Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
No, that's
okay. Got it. That's it. So I think first and foremost, we at Brockport did our due diligence and we have a long list of 2021s that we've been contacting. So first, please respond. So, if you are getting looked at already, answer the text message, attend the Zoom call. A lot of us are doing Zoom calls or Google Meets or there's a lot of stuff out there that we're doing. So participate in that, engage in that. Go on our Instagrams, and, right now, like at Brockport, we're pushing something out on Instagram like 3 times a week. So engage with our social media. If you see something that stands out or you have a question for us, like engage with us. Like, it's not often I get a recruit starting the dialogue. And it's okay to do that. Like we want that too. We don't always want to be the ones reaching out to you. So I think that's the start. If you're not getting a lot of looks right now, like if you're not getting a lot of calls or texts from college coaches, I think full game film's important. It's like, I'm getting these highlight films, but I always used to joke with my old boss, like, our grandmas can put a highlight film together and look great. Like we don't know who's they're playing against. Like I want to see a good game against a team in New York. In particular, we recruit New York hard. I want to see you playing against top competition, not the worst team in your region. So right. Send me full game film. Send me an email that's not like scripted. Send me an email that doesn't look like your parent wrote it. Parents, please don't write the emails. So, like I want to know your daughter. I do want to know you, because the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But, I want an email that says, like, I want Brockport, like I looked it up. You have my major. I don't just want an email that says, dear Coach Jones, and then, dear Coach Brooks got it at Cortland, and we all got the same thing. So make it a little more personal.
Okay. If you had a checklist of characteristics of an ideal recruit, what would be on that checklist?
Yeah, I love tough players. I think the SUNY is just a tough conference. We like blue collar players. So things that we look for, like, do you get on the floor for a loose ball? Do you do the old school box out? Like, do you actually get into it? Like, are you physical? Do you look like you lift weights? Like, are you strong? Do you love to get in the gym? Are you a gym rat? And some of that we have to ask, coaches to find out those answers. But those are our big ones. And of course we want talent. We want some athleticism. Can you get up and down the floor? Can you shoot it? Can you drive it? Do you have a specialty? And toughness is also mental toughness. Do you respond to your air ball? Do you sprint back on defense, or do you like hang your head and wait there 2 seconds? Well, I'm not going to probably recruit you. So, but the physical, the mental toughness, the gym rat part, and we can work with the rest. Right.
And then kind of on the other side of that, what are some turnoffs for you with recruits that make you move on pretty quickly?
Yeah. So I would start with what I kind of ended with. If you're not responding to your mistake maturely, we're going to have, a hard time coaching you at Brockport. We don't mind that you make a mistake. It's really how you respond to it. So if we see a lot of that trend, you're going to do it once or twice as an athlete. But if we see that all the time, or sort of the over dramatic response to, a failure, we're going to probably move on. So that, I think, is maturity, and is also a toughness about you that we can tell, again, by live play in particular, and talking to your people. I think, again, if you're not someone that really has a why behind playing, like if your why is, oh, my parents played, or, oh, I don't know, I've just been playing all the time, we're probably going to look the other way too. So we want to know, even at D3, I mean, we're not scholarshiping, but, there's a high level of commitment to being the best. And, we're not trying to just show up and roll the balls out. We're trying to win. So we want winners. We want people that want to get in the gym and want to stay after and want to sit down and watch film with me. And like I said about the recruiting process, we want our athletes to engage with us in that process. Like, ask us to do it. We don't always want to come looking for you. So if I see that or hear that this player is not a gym rat, or not playing for the right reasons, the love of the game, the competition aspect, then I'm probably going to look the other way too.
And to kind of follow up with that as well, kind of a common misconception is, a goal to get an athletic scholarship in college. You hear that a lot from players and kids, and you probably hear that as a D3 SUNY coach, because you don't specifically give athletic scholarships. So what would you say to the player or parent who says, I want to get a basketball scholarship, and if I don't know if I want to play college basketball?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think it's all about that. I think too that's hard because, okay, that's your end result, right? So you got your scholarship, then what? You got to keep your scholarship. You got to keep working hard. So, I think that's a societal thing, and it's a social media thing to sort of put this out there, like this photoshopped image of me committed and signing and getting money, like this is what I'm supposed to do. And that's okay. It's not their fault. But I think when we get our true D3 athletes that really get it and know that it's just not all about the money, it's about their experience and what they're learning and how hard they're pushed, that happens with the people around you, the coach, the culture at the school. Money doesn't do that. I mean, we know that as grown people, right? Like, we have a job that we love. It doesn't matter if we make, 6 figures. We love doing it. We're happy, right? So I think that can be learned at a young age. Like, you can be happy and not have the athletic scholarship, but you can be the all-conference player. You can be, at a D3 that treats basketball like it is the sport. And I think we lose a lot when we just want the money, when we just want the scholarship. We miss out on opportunities at D3 where it is about being a student and an athlete, and we don't necessarily, for lack of a better term, own you. Sure, we're pushing you to be committed and get in the weight room in the fall and in the spring and outside of the season, but you don't have to necessarily do those things. You can go study for your exam and miss a lift session, and no one's going to look at you funny, right? So I think we miss those kind of things in the process when we're locked in on money.
And I'm assuming too, when it comes to the bottom line, when you're recruiting somebody, if they go to a school, a private school, we'll say a Division II school that maybe costs $40,000 and they get a $15,000 a year scholarship, they can maybe say that they have a scholarship. Do you run across that at all? But the bottom line is that your school is a quality school and it's still going to actually be less expensive.
Cheaper. Exactly. Yep. We do run across that. And it's just, again, to say I had a scholarship, some of those players will come back to us. Oh, hey, the money actually didn't work out to be less than Brockport. It's actually cheaper to go D3. Right. I do think if there was a little more education out there, and that's why I say I go to my people to recruit, because I have 2 sophomores, one from the Binghamton area and one from Jamestown. And their people just get what I'm saying right now. So they have educated their athletes. It's not all about the money. Like, we know Coach Jones, like, go, you play for her and you're going to get what you want. So our priorities align. So that's why, like anything, it is about relationships. So those people I know in those area and those coaches, so I can say to them, she does fit how I coach and what we're trying to do. So, it is important, I think, for people around these players to really educate them. And, thankful you're doing this because we can get the word out there more. So, there are a lot of positives around COVID-19 crisis because we are getting sort of word out more about what we need people to be, aware of in this process.
Right. And, again, thanks for coming on, because that's kind of the objective here, is just to get people more information.
Yes.
All right, next question. What are some of the realities of playing college basketball that make it different than high school basketball, that lead to players not finishing the full 4 years of playing college basketball that maybe they don't understand?
Yeah, and I think I'm going to talk about this from a D3 standpoint, because I think what I get a lot of is, these blanket emails like, hey, I'm coming to Brockport, I want to play. And I'm like, well, I just actually responded to a young woman this morning, like, that's just not how it is at D3. Like, we highly recruit athletes to come play for us. And we, because we're SUNY, because we're Division III, I honor a walk-on tryout. That's a 1-day, 2-hour shot. that I get to look at you because I think that's fair. But you can't just kind of walk on a D3 team even. Like it's a high level of ball. It's not, in high school you get, depends what class you're in, but you'll get the soccer, the lacrosse stud, they just play basketball. Like you're now, whatever level you're on, you're with people that play ball all year long. It is, you go, again, it doesn't matter the level, you go from being the stud to now having to earn your spot. So I think people don't understand that at D3. They think, oh, it's just D3. Well, it's still fast. People still have high IQs. Like it's still, some of my players could have got scholarships, So I think there's a misperception at our level because it's like the lowest level. So I think the biggest thing, honestly, Tom, is the commitment. So like, I just can't commit to lifting in the fall. I can't commit to lifting in the spring. I can't commit to getting myself in shape before October 15th. Well, if that's the case, then we'll find another player because we do want players at Brockport that ball all year round, that this is what they're trying to do. So when they come to us, we don't get like Division I, we don't get individual workouts to get you ready. We don't get, we have strength and conditioning staff, which is great because they get to work with you, but it's still not basketball shape. They do the best they can to get you ready, but like you're playing pickup with your teammates and, we want you with our recruits in the fall and, we want to do team building and we want to work on leadership. And to me, that's the right way of doing things. So I think that's the biggest thing at our level is there's a misperception of the commitment and the level. And that will then, we try to do our best to, in the recruiting process, kind of say, oh, this person isn't, that's why I talk about the why. Ooh, they don't have the why. I'm going to have a tough time because we can't motivate them. They have to do it themselves. And they want to, like I said, they want more from us even. It's the ones that go like, oh, this is too much. Like, why does coach keep asking us to do this? It's like, well, if you want to be a baller, like we got to do this. Like, do you want to win? So I think that's the biggest thing at our level, misperception and then the commitment.
All right, last question for you. So you've been at the Division I level, and can you just kind of actually explain the different levels that you've coached at? We didn't do that at the beginning.
Right. So I started as a high school coach in Massachusetts, where I'm from, and then got the opportunity to work at University of Rochester. So right down the road with Jim Scheibel for a couple of years as his assistant. Then from there, I went to Genesee Community College right in Batavia as their head coach. And then I was lucky enough to jump on the University at Buffalo staff as a recruiting coordinator. They had an opening right after I was done with that year and spent 2 years there and then spent 5 at Niagara Division I as their recruiting coordinator and did some time as the associate head coach and moved to the head coaching spot because my boss had a couple babies and so I was helping her out. So I got that unique look and then now finishing my 5th season at Brockport as a head coach.
Leads into my last question. So how do you know a D1 player versus a D2 player versus a D3 versus a JUCO? If a parent or a player would say, hey, coach, I don't know what level I'm at. Do you have the ability to assess that? And what advice would you give to people like that?
Yeah. So I think that honestly, the biggest difference, it's like we can talk 1 and 3. Athleticism, physique. So I can like look at a player and go, nope, out of my league, Yeah. I think after that it's skill set, like how good are they handling the basketball? If you're a guard, like you could be a 5'2" guard and play Division I if your handle and your quickness is out of this world for sure. So I don't think height has to do anything, but like, yeah, ball handling skill, ability to score the ball. I mean, let's be honest, you have to put the ball in the basket. So those are the major ones at Division I that I see for 3. Like my athletes just aren't as athletic. Like they don't move laterally the same. Like it's honestly a genetic difference. Some of us are blessed genetically, some of us aren't. But so some of it's that. D2 and D3, I love that we only have, we have Roberts, Damon, and Lemoyne. So I think some of my players can play Division II. So I think it just depends on like regionally, like how many D2s you have and three. I think the fit is important. So like, let's say Kevin at Roberts really needs a stud point guard. But he really needs her in the class of 2021. And I'm recruiting her too, but she could play for me and him. He has scholarship money. He has that need. So she goes there. Maybe he didn't have that. If he didn't have that need in 2021, I might get her because he doesn't need a point guard. So I think like fit becomes a part of it too, because you have to be careful with your scholarship money. Like that was a big mistake I made at Division III when I took the job at Brockport. I pigeonholed myself into positions. Oh, I need a this, a this, and a this. And I would roll a red carpet out for those players. Oh, and not get any of them or get one. And I'm like, you know what? Like we're Division III. We got to cast the wide net here. Like we have to just, hey, if she can play, we'll find a way to make it work. And I've had to like tweak my system and do some different things X and O wise to make the players I get fit. So that, I think that's a huge difference too in fit. So like Division I and II, like they have these positions they need and they can go get them. I can't necessarily do that. And that's, I think, the wrong way to do Division III. Yeah. So I think what athletes and parents need to know is like, sometimes it is just a physique, a talent, a physical difference in athleticism. And then I think secondly, it's a fit. So like, what does that coach need? How does that coach coach? Like if we're going back to that example with Kevin at Roberts, like maybe he's an up-tempo coach, right? He wants a point guard that's going to push and like pass it well from like, over half, like really pass it and, really get by people with quickness. And that 2021 is not quick. Well, maybe I get her because we only know about her and he doesn't like her quickness, but I'll take her because she's super talented. She's just not as quick. So I think that's the second part of it is fit. So like, every coach is going to be looking at a different type of player. And maybe you didn't fit that D2 coach's style or personality, right? Maybe she really wanted a leader and you're more of a follower right now and a little immature. So maybe I get you because then I can really work with you and your maturity. So, I'll take a chance on a rough around the edges, so to speak, player. Because what do I have to lose? I don't have scholarship money, but that's our philosophy at Brockport. Like, let's mold and build young women. So I can take a chance at that because if she doesn't get molded or grow, then it sounds terrible, but then I just move on, well, you didn't cut it. So, right. But I'm not tied to a scholarship. I'm not tied to money. So sometimes we'll get some of those maybe immature, not really ready for scholarship ball, just because people didn't know about taking a chance. So
right. Maybe somebody underexposed as well that maybe just didn't have the high school exposure.
Yes, you got it for sure.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you doing the interview. I think it's going to help a lot of players and parents and high school coaches and just give them a little bit of insight into what they should be doing and the different levels of college basketball. So we really appreciate it.
Good. Thanks, Tom. And what you'll learn about me is I'm pretty honest. So I don't have a lot to hold back. And, it's just the realness about what we do. I think it's better to be a little bit candid.
Coach, thanks again. I'm sure that's going to be a big help to players and parents.